Hey, it's Rich from Planet PE, and today's video is all going to be having a look to see if you guys who have just started training are doing it correctly, because we're going to be looking at continuous training and those ways that we can use to try and manage your training sessions effectively. So let's get cracking, having a look at that topic. So if you are new to the channel, please make sure that you like and subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on any notifications, and let's get having a look at this topic. So lots and lots of you are starting to train and you are starting to find this love of running, because at the moment there's not lots to do. So what we want to have a look at is continuous training as a training method, and also having a look at the intensities that you should be working on. So let's define continuous training to start off with. So it's quite simply a method of training which doesn't involve any rest breaks. So you should be trying to get some sort of a level, steady intensity when you're training. So lots of you are doing that maybe by going for a bike ride. You may have previously gone for a swim, but probably at the moment a lot of you are starting to run. So with that training method, we've got to make sure that it is lasting over 15 or 20 minutes, depending if you're a GCSE PE student, on the examination board that you are studying. Now within that training method, what we're trying to do is that we are trying to optimize an aerobic training zone. So what that is, it's 60 to 80% of your maximum heart rate. So we need to understand how we're going to calculate that before you can then move on. So 100% of your maximum heart rate is everything it can do. So the fastest your heart can physically beat. And the way that we work that out is it's 220 minus your age. So really simply, if you're 20 years old, it's 200. If you're 10 years old, it's a 210. So what we're saying is basically that every year your heart can beat one beat less than it could the year before, which is a little bit shocking, but also explains maybe why old people get very, very tired going for a very short walk, because essentially they are in their aerobic training zone. So that aerobic training zone is what you need to be calculating and trying to record in your sessions. So those GCSE PE students, that's what you need to look at. Those people who are training need to find a way of recording that, possibly using things like a Fitbit that has a heart rate monitor or an external heart rate monitor itself. So 60 to 80% is what you're aiming for. And what we should receive in that zone is a really, really good training session. And if you're not in that zone, you're not actually training. So when you're monitoring how your training is going, using your heart rates is the real key thing. So again, that lower threshold of 60%, that upper threshold of 80%. Now, what happens if you're going above or below that zone? Well, we start to look at different pathways of energy, different ways that your body's going to work. So what we look at is that if you're working above 80% and maybe 80 to 90%, it's more anaerobic. So, you know, that's how somebody who is maybe doing sprints, somebody who's working very, very hard is now starting to work, because there's not actually the supply of oxygen available, so we start to work anaerobically. So if you are below the 60%, essentially you're not really training in the way that we're trying to do. So we're not working aerobically. You see lots of things talking about fat burning zones, things like that, but that's a completely different topic. For us as GCSE PE students, we need to understand that we've got an aerobic threshold and an anaerobic, and in continuous training, we're trying to work aerobically. So how are we going to go and do that? Well, really simply, as long as you're not stopping, you're doing it right. Now, we can do it in lots of different ways that we'll look at in other videos, such as fartlek training, or maybe really, really long intervals. But really, that's not continuous training, whereas fartlek training would be. So within your continuous session, the key things to think about is, am I going fast enough? Am I working hard enough? Well, the way to work that out is to look at your heart rates and see, are you in that golden zone of 60% to 80% of your maximum heart rate, to see if you're training or not. So if you're using it for your GCSE PE training method because you've identified maybe cardiovascular fitness or cardiovascular endurance as your weakness, then continuous training would be the session that you want to do. In the things that you talk about in your coursework, please make sure that you discuss the aerobic training zone, how you're going to monitor that, how you're going to monitor if you're improving or getting fitter, and also monitoring the time that you are training for, because again, that is a lovely way that you can use to record, are you getting fitter, because you're able to run for longer without stopping, that you're able to run faster in the same amount of time, or go further in the same amount of time, things like that. So, really simply, continuous training. It is a simple training method, but you've got to make sure you're doing it right to see, is it actually having any sort of a benefit to your body? So, thanks for watching, and again, we'll have some other videos coming out about all the other training methods that should be able to give you a bit more information about how you should be training and what the best way to do it is for your GCSE PE course, or if you're not a GCSE PE student, just the best way to do it for you to try and get a bit healthier and a bit fitter. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the videos that are going to pop up in a sec and the playlist. And again, keep working hard, guys.